If you think retiring early simply means more freedom and retiring late simply means more money, be careful. This mindset is exactly what pushes millions of Americans into the worst financial decision of their lives. Before choosing between retiring early or waiting a few more years, you need to understand one critical truth. Every choice comes with hidden costs, and these costs can destroy your financial security after 65. Imagine this: you retire at 62. It feels amazing until you realize your Social Security benefit may be permanently reduced by up to 30%. Now imagine working until 67 or 70. Yes, you earn a higher benefit, but you sacrifice years of freedom, travel, family time, and quality of life. So which one is right? The answer is far more complex than retire early or retire late. And that's exactly what you'll uncover in this video. Here's the truth. Few people are willing to say out loud, retiring early only works for those who have enough money to sustain decades of additional expenses, while retiring late only works for those who have the health and a real plan to turn those extra working years into long-term security, not wasted effort. This decision isn't actually about age. It's about numbers, risk, longevity, market behavior, health, and most importantly, how long your money will really last. This is where so many people make their biggest mistake. They think of retirement as a replacement paycheck, when in reality, it is a survival equation. The real order should be, how much do I need to live on? For how many years do I need this money? Which retirement age makes this sustainable? But most people do the opposite. They choose the age first and try to force the money to fit later, which is why so many face financial crises shortly after retiring. In this video, you'll finally understand the real trade-offs between retiring early and retiring late, and you'll discover which option actually works for your financial reality. Before we move on, don't forget, subscribe for more retirement-focused financial content like this video to support the channel. Comment, are you planning to retire early or wait a few more years? When most people imagine retiring early, they picture freedom, mornings without alarms, days filled with hobbies, travel, and time with family. But financially, early retirement comes with a hidden price that millions only discover after they leave the workforce. And this is where the real trade-offs begin. The moment you retire early, you start drawing from your savings sooner. Your money must last for more years, and you lose additional years of compound growth, which is one of the most powerful forces in long-term financial planning. Retiring late, on the other hand, gives your investments more time to grow and reduces the number of years you must support yourself. But it also means sacrificing precious years of freedom, energy, and health. This is the tension most Americans feel but few fully calculate. Think about the typical retiree at 62 versus 67. If you leave at 62, you could be retired for 25, 30 years, and your portfolio needs to survive multiple market cycles, inflation waves, medical expenses, and rising cost of living. That's decades of drawing down your savings, decades of uncertainty, and decades where markets could move against you. But retire at 67, and suddenly your retirement horizon shortens. Your money does not need to stretch as far. Social Security benefits are higher, and your investment portfolio has 5 more years to grow, potentially adding tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. Time is the one variable that can completely transform your retirement outcome, and delaying retirement even a little often results in dramatically different financial projections. But here's the catch. Retiring later is not automatically the better choice. Early retirement may require tighter budgeting, strategic investing, and a disciplined withdrawal plan. But some people are willing to make those adjustments in exchange for more years of active living. The real question isn't which age is better, but which trade-offs can you realistically afford? Early retirement gives you time, but reduces your financial margin of safety. Late retirement strengthens your financial foundation, but costs you years you will never get back. This is why retirement planning cannot be about emotion or guesswork. It must be a strategic decision based on numbers, lifestyle expectations, health, and long-term risk management. And here's where most people miscalculate. They assume their spending will drop significantly in retirement. In reality, early retirees often face higher spending during the first decade because they're active, traveling, exploring, hobbies, and living the lifestyle they dreamed of. Combine that with rising healthcare expenses before Medicare kicks in, and early retirement becomes far more expensive than most anticipate. Meanwhile, those who retire later usually benefit from employer-sponsored health care for longer, stronger Social Security payouts, and a more robust investment portfolio, but may face lower energy, limited travel capacity, and reduced quality of life. Opportunities that require physical health. Ultimately, the financial trade-offs between early and late retirement shape not only your bank account, but your longevity, happiness, and peace of mind. The decision must be intentional, not accidental. And as we move into the next topic, you'll see that retirement timing is only the beginning. The real challenge is understanding how your lifestyle, expenses, and income sources evolve across each stage of retirement. That's where most people go wrong and where the biggest mistakes happen. Retiring early sounds like freedom, but the truth is that early retirement comes with financial risks that most people only discover when it's already too late to fix. The biggest danger isn't just having fewer working years. It's the chain reaction that follows. Reduced Social Security benefits, higher healthcare costs before Medicare, extra years withdrawing from savings, and the silent erosion of inflation eating away at your nest egg. These factors combined can make early retirement far more expensive than people expect. The first major risk is reduced Social Security income for life. Claiming before full retirement age permanently locks in a smaller monthly benefit. That smaller check doesn't just affect your lifestyle today, it impacts your entire retirement timeline, influencing how quickly you must pull from your investments and how vulnerable you are to market downturns later in life. Most retirees underestimate how much difference a few percentage points can make across 20, 30 years. Another issue is healthcare costs. Retiring early means there's a gap before Medicare kicks in at 65. Private insurance or marketplace plans can cost thousands per year, and deductibles are often higher. These hidden expenses can drain savings much faster than planned, especially for retirees counting on stable, predictable monthly withdrawals. Then there's sequence of returns risk, one of the most dangerous threats to early retirees. If the market performs poorly in the early years of retirement, your portfolio may never recover because you are withdrawing funds at the same time your investments are losing value. This can cut your retirement timeline by 10, 15, or even 20 years. Early retirees face a longer exposure window, which increases the likelihood of hitting a market downturn at the worst possible moment. Inflation magnifies all these risks. Retiring early means covering more years of rising living costs without wage increases to offset them. A retiree who leaves work at 55 may face 30 or 40 years of inflation, something that can completely reshape a budget over time. Even modest inflation can double expenses across 2 decades. And finally, there's the psychological risk, boredom, lack of structure, loss of purpose, and increased spending. Studies show that many early retirees spend more in the first 5-7 years because they finally have free time, which often leads to more travel, hobbies, and lifestyle upgrades. This unexpected overspending can put pressure on investments far sooner than expected. Early retirement isn't impossible, but it requires a much stronger financial plan, more savings, a solid investment strategy, realistic expectations, and the discipline to adjust spending as conditions change. Without those safeguards, people who retire too early often find themselves returning to work later, not by choice, but by necessity. One of the biggest blind spots in the early versus late retirement debate is something most people never factor into their decision: longevity risk. The simple truth is that Americans today live longer than any previous generation, and longer lives create financial pressures that many retirees dramatically underestimate. When you retire early, your savings must stretch across a significantly longer timeline. Retiring at 62 instead of 67 adds 5 more years of living expenses, but it also adds 5 more years of health care costs, inflation, and market volatility. And those extra years are not just numbers on a chart. They are years filled with real expenses, real health events, and real uncertainty. But the danger grows deeper when we look at how spending actually changes with age. Many Americans assume they'll spend less as they get older, but research shows the opposite. Retirees in their late 70s and 80s face higher medical costs, higher long-term care risk, and more financial surprises than retirees in their 60s. This means retirees who stop working early face the longest exposure to the most expensive phase of retirement. Another overlooked issue is what happens when one spouse lives significantly longer than the other. Early retirement may work in theory while both are healthy. But if one spouse outlives the other by 10 or 15 years, the survivor must maintain the entire household on a reduced Social Security benefit and a shrinking pool of savings. In this situation, early retirement can amplify the stress placed on the surviving spouse. But waiting too long to retire is not automatically the safe option. For some, delaying retirement increases personal risk. Working into your late 60s or 70s may improve your finances, but it narrows your window of healthy years. People who delay too long sometimes retire with money, but no time, no energy, or declining health. And this creates its own form of regret. Meanwhile, longevity risk interacts directly with inflation. The longer you live, the more years your money must fight rising prices, not just for groceries or gas, but for health care, insurance premiums, assisted living, and services you may eventually need. This leads to a powerful but uncomfortable truth. Retiring early gives you more time but less financial protection. Retiring late gives you more protection but less time. The real challenge is balancing both without sacrificing your future. In the next topic, we'll bring all these elements together and compare early and late retirement head to head, financially, emotionally, and practically, so you can finally understand which path actually works depending on your income, savings, health, lifestyle, and long-term goals. After seeing the differences between retiring early and retiring later, there's one final question that every American over 55 eventually asks. So which retirement path actually works? The truth is not as simple as internet gurus make it sound. Retirement is not about timing alone. It's about readiness, financially and psychologically. But if we zoom out and look at the data, patterns start to emerge. Early retirement works best for people who have predictable income, stable investments, and a deep understanding of their spending needs. These retirees must build systems that last 30 to 40 years. Dividend income, bond ladders, annuities, rental income, or a diversified portfolio that can survive long market cycles. They also need a resilient plan for health care because retiring before Medicare creates a 6 to 8 year financial gap that many people underestimate. For the right person, early retirement offers time, freedom, and a better chance of enjoying healthy years. But the margin for error is tiny. Late retirement, meanwhile, works extremely well for those who want certainty. The numbers are incredibly strong. Higher Social Security benefits, a shorter withdrawal horizon, lower sequence of returns risk, delayed healthcare pressure, and a psychologically smoother transition. Working a few more years is often the most powerful financial decision a retiree can make, sometimes more valuable than saving aggressively for a decade. But retiring late requires good health, job stability, and the emotional willingness to keep going when peers are already stepping away. So what actually works? The answer is simpler than most people expect. The path that works is the path supported by strong math, not guesswork. You don't choose early or late retirement based on hope, fear, or pressure. You choose based on whether your financial reality can support the lifestyle you want for the next 25 to 35 years. Early retirement works when you have multiple income streams, a large, well-allocated portfolio, a healthcare strategy, a buffer for market drawdowns. Late retirement works when you want higher guaranteed income, lower financial risk, more stability in your plan, more time to save and invest. But the truth is that no matter when you retire, what determines your long-term security is discipline, planning, and the ability to adjust. Retirees who review their plan every year, adapt to inflation, rebalance their portfolio, estimate their health care costs and track their spending are the ones who stay financially strong, regardless of their retirement age. And that's the part most Americans never hear. Retirement is not a date on a calendar. It's a strategy you build, protect, and refine over time. If this video helped you understand the real difference between retiring early and retiring late, make sure you stay with us on this journey. Subscribe for weekly retirement planning insights like this video so more Americans over 55 can learn this. Comment below. Are you planning to retire early or later? And why? Your retirement future depends on the decisions you make today.